Hey boys and girls, this is Mrs. Jones and we have a new learning unit we're going to start today. We're going to be talking about data and graphs and how those go together and what those mean. So first we're going to start with some vocabulary. All right, let's start with data. Data is a collection of facts that can be numbers, measurements, words, observations, or descriptions. If you want to think of a synonym for data, think of information. Data is information, and for us in math, that shows up as numbers. Okay, one way that data is presented to other people is by using a graph. Okay, a graph is a diagram that shows the data or information in an organized way. Now, the cool thing about graphs is you can look at a graph and you can get a lot of information very quickly, and you can understand it very easily because it is organized. All right, we're going to be talking about several different kinds of graphs, and today we're going to talk about a bar graph. Okay, a bar graph is a graph that uses thick lines to show how large the value is. In other words, to show the number of something. Right over here, I have an example of a bar graph and the pieces or parts of a bar graph that we use. All right, first of all, a bar graph will always have a title. It tells you what your information is going to be about. The title of this one is Favorite Sport. Okay, the next thing, a graph is going to have numbers on it. Okay, a bar graph is going to have numbers. One of the most important things when you're doing a bar graph is you have to look at the numbers and decide what it's counting by. Okay, this is counting by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like on a number line. The next thing is the label that goes with the numbers. Okay, this tells you number of students. So we're going to be looking at how many students chose their favorite sport. And then the next part, the next label on a bar graph is what are the sports, okay? What are the different sports? What were the choices? So the choices were soccer, basketball, football, hockey. All right, so we have a title, we have the numbers, we have the labels of the choices. Okay, then we also have the information, the bars. All right, now the information comes from people being asked questions. They do like a survey perhaps, and they give their answer, and then the data, the information is put together so that we can see it. Now, a bar graph can work. The way it works is soccer, if we read it, we go up the bar to the top and it is on a 2. So 2 people chose soccer, and I wrote the answer right here. Basketball, 3 people. Football, 5 people, and hockey, 4 people. Now notice I wrote 2, 3, 5, and 4 at the top of the bar. Okay, we do that because it makes it easier, because we don't have to keep going back over here every time there's a question to find the answer. So boys and girls, this is something that you will do on every graph we do in 2nd grade. You will do it in 3rd grade, you will do it in 4th grade, and so on. Okay, this is a skill that helps you. So that will be something I will look for when we do graphs. Did you write your numbers? Okay, so then whenever you have data and information like this, you can answer some questions. So if the question is, which sport did the most students choose? Well, you can do it 2 ways. You can see this bar is the tallest or the longest, so football, or you can look at the numbers and 5 is the largest number. If I were to ask you which sport was chosen by the fewest number of students, you would look for the smaller bar, the smaller number, and it would be soccer. Okay, we also can use this data to compare how many more students like football than hockey. All right, so we have how many more is a clue word to tell us to subtract. So 5 minus 4, it would be 1. One more person likes football than those that like hockey. We also could say how many students voted, how many in all. And to do that, we would add the numbers 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4. Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, and 10 plus 4 is 14. So 14 students voted for their favorite sport. All right, well, I want us to put together and make a graph. This kind of activity can be something that you could do at home. The pages that we do not do in our graph workbook might be something you want to do at home with your family. All right, so our graph, our title is Seasonal Birthdays. So our birthdays are not showing months, they're showing the seasons. Okay, and the seasons you learned in kindergarten, first grade, and even with Mrs. Nichols: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Okay, this is the number of students. Excuse me, and I want you to look and see, what are we counting by? We're counting by ones. So we have our title, our labels with our numbers, our choices. And so now we need to think about birthdays. All right, now we think of our birthday as the birthday month, but we also need to know that those months fit into a season. And we are going to use tally marks to record our data. Okay, remember, a tally mark is something we've talked about before. Tally marks are shown in groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people slant the fifth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people draw it straight across. It doesn't matter as long as you can tell there are 4 and then 1 combining. What makes tally marks so helpful is then you can count by 5s, and then we switch to 1. So 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. These tally marks show 13. All right, so let's say if I just choose a class, I'm just going to make up a class. Mrs. Rhodes' kindergarten class. Okay, in Mrs. Rhodes' class, she has 6 students with a fall birthday. All right, for a winter birthday, she has 3. Students in the spring, she has 5. And summer birthdays, she has 4. All right, so this is our data. This is our information. So now let's show that on our graph. All right, so graphs, we're going to start at 0. We can't just randomly color in squares to make a bar graph. You have to start at the 0 and color going up. Oh, one thing I do want you to notice, look at this bar graph. This bar graph, the bars and numbers are horizontal. You can do a graph vertical, a bar graph horizontal. It doesn't matter. All right, so let's start with fall. This tells us there are 6 fall birthdays. So we start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what do I put here? 6. How many winter birthdays? 3. 1, 2, 3. How many spring birthdays? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And summer birthdays? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now if I were going to ask you some questions, I don't have to look at this information here. I can look and I can use the bars to help me, or I can even look at the numbers I have written at the tops of the bars. So if I were to say to you, which fall, I believe I told you the answer. Which season has the most birthdays? Well, 6, fall. Okay, which season has the fewest birthdays? 3, winter. How many more fall birthdays than summer birthdays? All right, so how many more is a subtraction? So 6 minus 4 equals 2. There are 2 more winter birthdays than fall birthdays. And if I were to ask, how many birthdays are there in all? How many students are there in Mrs. Rhodes' class in all? Then we do our number sentence. Okay, we have 4 numbers to add, and remember how we know to do that. We're going to look for doubles or sums of 10, and when I do, I see a sum of 10 right here. 6 plus 4 is 10. So 10 plus 3 is 13. 13 plus 5, you can count up 5. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there are 18 students who voted and told us their birthdays. All right, so boys and girls, today we'll be doing bar graphs. The most important thing for you to remember when you look on here is you must label on your bar graph. All right, you're going to need to get your workbook to be doing the second part of this lesson. Okay, this is graphs lesson 1, part 1. So stop this, get your workbook and pencil, and then get ready to do graphs lesson 1, part 2.